Okay, so now that we sort of understand employees and employers choosing among different levels of workplace safety or cleanliness or pleasantness and that kind of stuff, we understand why some places are better, have cleaner working conditions than others and such, right? Let's talk more about employee benefits, right? So wage theory and employee benefits. So just like how employees can choose among various levels of cleanliness, safety, and unpleasantness, so too can they choose among differing levels of employee benefits, right? Again, using the same assumptions as before. So some people really value having dollar bills and want to maximize those and are willing to forego things like employee health benefits. Other people will want to have premium healthcare packages that cover their families, etc. And so will forego some dollars to have those benefits, right? And very similar analysis to Section 2, or Part 2 of this week's notes, can be applied here as well. All else being equal, employees will pick the job that has the greater amount of benefits if the wages and salaries are identical and the job pays the same amount, right? Likewise, people will pick the job that pays the most if everything else, including the employee benefits, are equal, right? What's interesting is viewing this from the employer side, especially considering policies in place regarding employee benefits. So have you ever wondered why large companies tend to offer employees more generous health benefits than smaller companies do? Right? The typical answer that everyone will give is that the large companies can afford it. Right? So large companies can afford to pay for health benefits. All right, and let's conclude that with a question mark, right? So that's one theory. Large companies can afford to pay for health benefits simply because they are larger, right? But if you think about this for more than 2 seconds, it doesn't really seem to pass the sniff test, right? For every dollar that any company pays in benefits, they have one less dollar to pay for things like wages and salaries, right? And so it would seem like it would be a simple accounting problem to solve. Something like, look, so imagine the employer comes up to you and says, you get $50,000 in total compensation. How would you like that to be allocated across salary and benefits, right? And so if that's the case, then you just simply say, oh, I want you to pay, $1,000 for healthcare and $49,000 in dollars, right? And it seems like that would be a very simple thing. And so there must be a reason why it's actually cheaper for large companies to buy employee insurance than it is for smaller companies to buy employee insurance, right? And so let's stick with health insurance for now. Mostly because it's the one that I know the most about, right? We can do other analyses for other benefits too, right? So this analysis is nowhere near unique. The same analysis with slight modification applies to all types of employee benefits, okay? So with health insurance, we have two factors coming into play. So first is the idea of how insurance works in general. So without going into too much detail, insurance works because when we aggregate risk into one central location, we actually eliminate the risk. Okay, so let's do sort of an example. So let's imagine that we have 10, 7. Gotta get rid of this house. 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's imagine we have 10 identical houses, right, in a neighborhood, so ignore the fact that they're different sizes, right? We have 10 identical houses in the same neighborhood, and each house has a 10% chance of burning down. Okay? Which house is going to burn down? So what this means is that on average, one of these houses is going to burn down every single year, right? On average, okay? But which house is going to burn down is unknown, right? And so without any insurance, no one household knows whether they'll burn down that year, and as a result, has to plan for that 10% chance that they'll have to spend a lot of money rebuilding, right? If everyone has fire insurance now, though, right, they know that they'll be covered in the event of a fire, meaning they won't have to keep money lying around just in case, and the insurance company knows that each year they'll spend money rebuilding one house. Which house, specifically, is unknown, but they know that they'll have to rebuild one of them. And so there's a lot more to be said here, but note how there's no real uncertainty in terms of how much anyone, including the insurance company, is going to have to pay each year. Okay? Everyone knows that every year they have to pay for their insurance, and so they know that once they've paid their insurance bill, they're covered. Right? And the insurance company knows that they're going to pay to rebuild one of these houses every year. And so everyone's expenses are all of a sudden perfectly known in advance, which is actually pretty remarkable, right? So the real purpose of insurance is to eliminate risk, or at least concentrate risk as much as possible, and smooth people's expectations. But that's a topic for another class, another time, okay? Now, this works even better when you have a larger number of people pooling their risk together. So in general, the more risk you can pile into one central location, the more risk will actually get eliminated, and as a result, the more certainty is generated. Okay? So insurance companies would much rather insure a large number of people than a small number of people, and are likely to charge lower prices for their insurance policies for a large number of insurees, right? And so for that reason, large companies might have a cost advantage over small companies for paying for health insurance. And second, so one is just the sheer fact, mathematics of insurance, right? The second reason are actually the tax benefits. Okay, and so the tax benefits are actually tremendous. And so health insurance provided by a company is paid for with what are known as pre-tax dollars. And so basically, what this means is that employers do not have to pay taxes on the money that they pay people in the form of health insurance. Or another way to think of it, you don't have to pay income tax on dollars that are spent towards health insurance, right? But the companies do have to pay taxes on the money they pay workers in the form of wages and salaries. And so in large companies with lots of employees, this savings on taxes can be huge. In smaller companies, not quite as huge. And so as a result of both the decreased cost of insurance owing to the large number of employees and the increased tax benefits of having a large number of employees and being able to pay for health insurance with pre-tax dollars, right? There may be very big savings for paying employees in health insurance, and these savings seem to be increasing as firm size grows. And so because of this, and plenty of other factors not listed here, I'm sure, right? Large companies may find it particularly beneficial to offer employee benefits such as health insurance, okay? So what we've developed this week is sort of a theory about why some workers work at night, why some employers maybe don't have the cleanest of working conditions, right? And we now have a theory about why different employees accept different compensation packages And we also have a theory of why different employers offer different compensation packages as well, right? And all of it can be related back to costs and benefits, which is actually an incredibly powerful thing if you think about it, right? We now have a model to understand a lot more about the world than we did before this week, okay? So email me if you have any questions. Shoot me a text or phone call or whatever. Anytime, day or night, just let me know, and I will do my best to get to you as quickly as I can. All right? Great.